Right now, somewhere in your body, a timer is running. You cannot feel it, you cannot see it, but it has been counting down since the last time you slept. And at some point, whether you want it to or not, it will collect what it is owed. Sleep is not a suggestion. It is not a luxury. It is a biological debt that the human body does not forgive. In 1959, a radio DJ in New York named Peter Tripp decided to stay awake for 200 hours as a publicity stunt. He sat in a glass booth in Times Square, broadcasting live, raising money for charity. By day 3, he was seeing spiders crawling out of his shoes. By day 4, he believed a passing doctor was an undertaker who had come to bury him. By day 5, he was experiencing full psychotic breaks, screaming, terrified, unable to distinguish reality from whatever his collapsing brain was generating to fill the void that sleep should have occupied. He completed the stunt. He slept. He recovered, mostly. But what Tripp discovered, without intending to, was not that humans can push through sleep deprivation. It was what sleep deprivation does when you push through it anyway. Here is what actually happens inside you when you don't sleep. Your brain has a cleaning system. It is called the glymphatic system, and it operates almost exclusively during sleep. While you are awake, your neurons produce metabolic waste, proteins, toxins, the biological byproducts of a brain working hard all day. During sleep, cerebrospinal fluid floods through channels in the brain and physically washes these waste products out. One of the proteins cleared this way is amyloid beta, the same protein that accumulates in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. When you don't sleep, the cleaning system doesn't run. The waste accumulates, the toxins build. The brain begins operating in an increasingly contaminated environment. After 24 hours without sleep, cognitive performance drops to a level equivalent to a blood alcohol concentration of 0.10, legally drunk in most countries. After 48 hours, the brain begins generating hallucinations as it attempts to create the experiences it would normally process during REM sleep. After 72 hours, the line between waking and dreaming dissolves almost entirely. And here is the thing that stops most people cold when they learn it. There is a disease called Fatal Familial Insomnia. It is caused by a misfolded prion protein that damages the thalamus, the region of the brain that regulates the transition between waking and sleep. People who develop it stop being able to sleep, not because they aren't tired, they are exhausted. But the mechanism that allows the brain to cross the threshold into sleep has been destroyed, and no amount of exhaustion, medication, or intervention can restore it. The progression is documented with devastating precision. In the first stage, the person cannot sleep and begins to experience panic attacks and phobias. In the second stage, hallucinations begin, vivid, persistent, indistinguishable from reality. In the third stage, complete inability to sleep combines with rapid physical deterioration and dementia. In the fourth stage, the person goes silent. They stop responding. And within months of the first symptoms, they die. Not from a tumor, not from organ failure in any conventional sense, from the absence of sleep. Fatal familial insomnia is rare, but it is the biological proof of what total sleep deprivation produces when given enough time and enough severity. It is what the body does when the debt cannot be paid. In the 1980s, researchers studying an Italian family with a multi-generational history of fatal familial insomnia began documenting a pattern that had been quietly devastating the same bloodline for over 200 years. The first documented case traced back to a Venetian nobleman in the 1700s, who died after months of sleeplessness and progressive deterioration. His descendants carried the mutation without knowing what it was. Some of them died the same way. Some of them didn't live long enough to develop it. The family existed for generations in a state of inherited biological suspense, not knowing who among them carried the mutation, not knowing when it would activate, not knowing what was coming. By the time researchers identified the prion mutation responsible, the family had lost at least 40 members across 5 generations to the same condition. They had, without choosing to, become the longest-running human study of what happens when sleep is taken away permanently. What the researchers found was not just a catalog of symptoms, it was a window into what sleep is actually for. Not rest, Not recovery in any simple sense, but a specific, non-negotiable biological process without which the brain cannot sustain the conditions necessary for consciousness, identity, or life. The modern world has not banned sleep, but it has made not sleeping into a value. Productivity culture treats exhaustion as proof of commitment. Sleep is negotiated away in favor of screens, shifts, deadlines, and the low-grade ambient pressure to always be available, always be doing something, always be on. The average adult in the developed world sleeps between 6 and 6.5 hours per night. The research consensus on what the human brain actually needs is between 7 and 9. The gap between those two numbers is not a personal choice. It is a slow, cumulative, invisible debt, building the same way Peter Tripp's breakdown built, the same way the Venetian nobleman's deterioration built. Just slowly enough that most people never connect the fog and the flatness and the fragility of their daily experience to the thing they cut short every morning when the alarm goes off. Sleep is not what you do after life. It is part of the mechanism that makes life possible. And your timer is still running.